Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. I hope you guys are doing fabulous, and welcome to the new year and back to basics. My name is Nikki Adamkowitz, and I am the Sassy Subber, and today we're going to be talking about all things sublimation back to basics. This is great for whether you're a newbie, whether you're in advanced mode, no matter where you are in your sublimation journey, we're going to be talking about all the things that you need, and maybe the things that you didn't realize that you should have or shouldn't have. We won't get into too many details of it, like color and advanced methods, but we'll talk about it briefly. But first and foremost, let's thank Jody, who is behind the helm today, who's going to be in the comment section of the Sass while I mosey my way on over to the other side of the room. Make sure you guys take time to take a lot of notes. Like I said, whether you're just starting out on your journey or you've been in this for longer than a hot minute, you can always pick up a little bit of sass along the way. Let's move on over. All right, guys. So when you're starting your sublimation journey, one of the things that you're going to do is, where do you start, right? What are all the things that you're going to need in order to start your sublimation journey? The products. Now, please understand my opinions here are just mine and mine alone. They do not reflect any of the opinions on my admin team. Again, I'm just going to try to give you all the basic information I possibly can so that you can make sure you make informed decisions. First and foremost, let's talk about the products that you're going to need to get started. One of them is a sublimation printer. Now, you can use a Sawgrass. Sawgrass has the Sawgrass 500 and 1000. Now, it is basically a plug and play type of printer. It was made for sublimation. You do use cartridges for that. And let me just explain something. They are pricey, but again, it's plug and play. It's very easy to use. They have pretty good customer service when it comes to having all of the things go wrong with your printer. They will try to help you out. Now, Epson, while Epson seems like it should be new to the game, it's really not. It's just, there are two different types of Epsons that you can use. Well, you can get the F1 or the F570 and the F170. Now, the F570 can print up to 24 inches, whereas the Sawgrass, let me backtrack a little bit. So the Sawgrass, the 500, is an 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14 print size. That's their smaller printer. The 1000, it goes up to 13 by 19 as long as you have the bypass tray. So if you don't have the bypass tray for the 1000, you can only print up to an 11 by 17. So those are the two different sizes for the Sawgrass. With the Epson, the sublimation version of their printer is the F570, which prints up to 24 inches wide by however long, because you use rolls for that one. And then there's the F170, I just don't want to get the numbers wrong. The F170 prints up just like the Sawgrass 500. It can go up to a 14-inch in length, but it's only, you are bound by 8.5 inches wide. All right, with that one. So there's those two comparable versions. Again, they have eco tanks, I believe, on those two of the Epsons. A lot of us went and we converted an Epson. You have the Workforces. I have the ET15000. Those are converted ones. And each one comes with the risks when you do convert over a printer to sublimation, because it just wasn't made for that. So the longevity on a converted one might not be as long as one that was actually formulated and built for sublimation. Make sure you make your own determination, ask around. Sawgrass is definitely a pricier option when it comes to their 13 by 19. It does run you well over $1,000 for that particular printer, whereas the 500 will come in, I want to say it's between $500 and $600. Don't quote me on the prices, because prices do change as the market changes. Now, the F570 is definitely a pricier printer, but you're getting a bigger print at 24 inches. That one's going to run you, I think it's around $2,000, $2,500 all in. Now, the smaller one you can get on the interwebs for, which is pretty much comparable to the Sawgrass 500 in price. Now, if you want to get the 13 by 19 converted version, like the ET15000, that one will print up to a 13 by 19 sheet. But again, the pricing on that one is around $600, $650. Again, it depends on where you're getting it. Do your homework when it comes to sublimation printing. figure out what you want to pay for your ink, go there. I would like to just let you know that this Sass is sponsored by Driven by Graphics, and that's who I get my ink from. He has the ink that you're going to need for anything that is a converted printer. He does have third-party inks as well for your Sawgrass. Please note, and this is something I have to stress, you will void the warranty if you use, when you're using Sawgrass, you will avoid the warranty if you use third-party inks. Once your warranty is up and you want to switch, that's completely up to you. I'm just giving you some informed decisions. Now, once we've settled on the type of printer we want, we got to talk about press. We'll get into the different types of presses and whatnot, but you're going to need a heat press, one that can have time, temp, and pressure. Pressure is definitely key in sublimation. While you might want to use that Cricut press, it's really not made for sublimation because, well, sublimation, you need pressure. All right, so you need pressure to have that. We'll get in a little bit later in the live about the different types of presses that you're going to need. What else are you going to need? You're going to need sublimation paper, as you can see right here. Yes, can you use copy paper? In a pinch, you absolutely can use copy paper, but you got to remember the ink floats on top of your sublimation paper. Whereas if you use copy paper, it's going to suck it right into the fibers of that paper, and you're going to leave a lot of ink left on the paper. Whereas with sublimation paper, you're going to pull off as much of that ink off of there and to put it on your substrate. So you definitely want to get a good quality printer or good quality paper. I use Printer Jack in mine. I've used JPP in mine. It really just comes down to personal preference. Again, ask around. That is the key and what people are loving in their type of paper. You can also get the Texstar print, beaver paper, and so much more. Now, couple of the other things you're going to need. Heat gloves. I don't know anybody who can handle anything at 400 degrees with their little bare paws here, but you definitely need a good quality pair of heat gloves. Those are going to help protect your biggest investment, and that is your fingers. Okay, so you're going to need heat gloves. You're going to need scissors, the Pro Puff tool. And the reason I say we're going to need one of these guys is because it helps get the film off of your substrates, especially on MDF. This will save your fingers, your nails, all of it, because it has a very blunt, rounded edge here. I'll put it right here in this thing because it's probably easier to see. So you're going to need this. It does have a blunt, pointed end. That works. You're going to need a pencil. Now, I have a couple different types of measuring tools. I have my 18-inch ruler, I have my fabric ruler, and I have a caliper. These are key in when you're trying to measure your different substrates, especially for making templates, trying to figure out how to do wraps on tumblers, and so much more. So those are things that you should have. All right. The pencil, we'll talk about the pencil and why this is important and why you really don't want to use pen in a little bit. You're going to want to get yourself some heat tape. Now, I will recommend that you get a tape dispenser. This tape dispenser, I absolutely love this. It's solid on here. They have many different types out there. Go with what you want. It's really just going to come down to what fits in your budget. I put my Pro Puff tool right in this hole right here, so I always know right where it is. There are many different types of heat tape. The kind of heat tape that I use, I have two different types, and I will give you the reasoning behind them. As you can see, first, they're two different colors. This one is from Johnson Plastics. It's a little more rigid. All right, this is great for your everyday stuff and whatnot. This one is from Driven by Graphics. This is a more pliable one. And I use this for my tumblers because I can make it really tight. Anything that I'm going to have to wrap around something, you're going to want a more pliable tape. It just makes it easier. I'm not saying you can't do it with this a little bit more firm tape, but it does make life a lot easier with this tape. So I do have both. All right, as I move things out of the way. Other things that you should have in your arsenal besides scissors are heating pads. Now, this one is a Nomex felt pad, and this is the green pad. Now, what are these used for? Ceramics, glass. That's what these are going to be used for. Now, can you use either or? You absolutely can. What it does is it allows for a cushion for when you are pressing your products. All right. And some things are required to have the foam pad. make sure you read the manufacturer's instructions, especially if you're getting them from the big companies like Condi, JPP, Heat Press Nation, just to name a few. All right, if you're getting them, they will tell you in their instructions which pad would probably be best. But for the most part, you can interchange them. I will tell you, this pad right here is a pricey investment at over $100 for my 16 by 20. This was a pricier option. You can get the felt pad. It will do the exact same thing. Again, all it's doing is acting like a cushion. So when you're adding that pressure, it's pushing your substrate into this so that it doesn't crack and break. While you still need pressure, you're like, well, Nikki, just loosen your pressure. It doesn't always work that way. What this does is it hugs right up and around your substrate so that you get a more even print and press, I should say. All right, we're going to set that aside. Lastly, everybody should get one of these guys right here. This is the Sublimation Journal. This is going to be your Bible, if for just for lack of a term, right? This is going to tell you all the information that you're going to need because you're going to write it down. You're going to tell me where the vendor was for the towels, for an example. Okay, so driven by graphics. What is the substrate? Towels. What's your time, temp, and pressure? Goes right here. The cost and retail and your notes. So what you paid for it, what you want to sell it for. This is your Bible when it comes to all things sublimation. It gives you all the information that you need, things that you might need to know. Hey, when doing full bleed, you want to do this. Or I use tape. I didn't use the Pro Spray. Make sure you're sizing. For an 11 by 18 towel, make sure your print is 11.5 by 18. Any notes that you could possibly put in this is a great place to put it. And you can find this at our sponsors, Driven by Graphics. He has these guides to successful printing. Okay. Next up, let's see. So we talked about the gloves, the tape, the inks, the paper, the printer. Yes, your girl's got notes here. Your press. You also want to have butcher paper. Now, you can use parchment paper. Please, warning, warning, warning. Do not use wax paper. Why? It's got wax on it. You need to use an uncoated paper. So I have mine sitting right down here. We're going to pull it out. I get my paper from Sam's Club. You can also get it from Costco. It comes in a much bigger roll, like this big of a roll. This is a paper holder. This is a lifesaver. You can mount this to your wall. You can put it on your shelf underneath. You can mount it to the end of your table. Wherever you need to put this, you can put it. This is definitely a key item for when you need to rip off the perfect piece of paper, okay? So you want to have that in your wheelhouse. Actually, it's not that you want to, you have to. You have to have this in your wheelhouse. The reason being is it protects your investment. This guy right here. It protects getting off-gassing onto the bottom of your platen or even on the top, because no one wants a repeat project for something that they're working on. And inevitably, you've pressed something and you're going to press white something behind it. T-shirts are notorious for picking up leftovers, towels, and so much more. So you really want to protect your investment by using butcher paper, making yourself a sublimation burrito. So you always want to make sure that you protect with bottom with butcher paper, your substrate, your paper, and then butcher paper again, and you make the perfect sublimation burrito. All right. You're going to realize that I use a lot of weird terms when I'm talking about sublimation, but let me tell you, it's stuff that sticks. You drop it like it's hot, firm, squish the heck out of me pressure, kiss me pressure. You will learn all of the crazy little sayings that I say. But you know what? It's what helps you to remember what you need to be doing at that time, especially when you put it in your book. Nikki said, squish the heck out of me pressure. Like when you're pressing those canvas garden flags that are thick, you want squish the heck out of me pressure so you can make sure that you're doing all the things. Okay. This item needs to be pre-pressed. Next, you want to also have lint rollers. Now I'm going to grab them out of here. I have a couple different types of lint rollers. I have a sticky lint roller. I have a velvet lint roller. And of course, I can't get to them. but I have a velvet lint roller and a sticky lint roller. Now, my velvet one is a 3M velvet one. Why do I use a velvet one versus just your sticky one? Your sticky one will get everything off, so to speak, even no matter how much you sticky lint roll it. But with fabrics, lint gets right down into those threads. So the velvet one helps pull them up like fingers, pulls against that fabric, and it grabs all those blue fibers, and you can clean it off and reuse it multiple times without wasting all the sticky lint. Now, again, you should have both of them in your wheelhouse because they both serve a purpose. All right. So again, the velvet lint one grabs it like the fibers, like little tiny fingers. And then the sticky lint one could be used on absolutely everything. Have I mistakenly used that on my velvet one on hard substrates? Yeah, I have. But you know what? At least it still gets up the fibers and it works. But you really want to use the velvet one for your fabrics because it does get down in. Now, just a little bit of a pro tip. When you are pressing your fabrics, you need to lint roll inside, outside, backside, all the way around. Let me explain. When you're pressing a shirt and you only do the top of the shirt, remember there are blue fibers in the shirt and on the back side of that shirt. So you really want to go in and lint roll and velvet lint roll and sticky lint roll your entire fabric, or you're going to end up with little blue dots. All right. Now I know what you're thinking, Nikki, that's overkill to do the inside. Yes, it can be. But if you're using 100% polyester, especially white, 100% polyester t-shirts, you can see those blue fibers sometimes through, depending on how big those lint fibers are. So doing your due diligence just kind of helps things out. You definitely, without a doubt, want to do front and back. If you choose to skip the middle step, which is fine, a lot of people do, you definitely want to do the front and the back because guess what? The heat goes all the way to the back and you're still going to end up with blue dots on your back, okay? So you want to make sure you have all of those things. In your printers, we're going to go rolling back to your printers. Now, we did talk about the printers and the pros and the cons of those. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments about printers. When I go back to watch this live again, yes, I watch every live so that I could go back and reread what you're asking me and why you asked it so that I can answer you and give you the best informed decision or comment I possibly can. Now, again, if you have any questions about those printers, I've already did at the beginning of this live. Go in and ask me those questions. I will try to answer them. If not, I will get you in touch with the people who know better than I do. I don't know everything. I have been doing this now. I'm going into my 6th year of teaching. So I do know a thing or two. I've owned 2 Sawgrasses and now I have owned 2 Epsons. And I can tell you that I have a little bit of know-how. Not much, but a little. Let's get into our heat presses. This guy is running right now. Now I have a fancier studio sitting here, but I would like to tell you that whether you pick a Geonite or a fancier studio, let me give you some details. I went with a Geonite just because that's considered top of the line of the presses. I want you guys to feel successful, but sometimes it also comes down to budget. All right. So the Geonite is known for being sturdy. It has its durability. It does come with a higher price cost. It can also come with a bigger foot plan, right? So where you're going to put it. Whereas the fancier studio is more budget conscious. You can get it really quick on the Amazon. It does have a smaller footprint depending on where you put it, which is great for smaller shops. There are 2 different types of heat presses. You could get what they call a swing away, which means when you open up this top platen, it swings away. So that's a larger foot plan that you're going to need. I don't have that kind of space here, so I needed what they call a clamshell. That's what this guy is right here. It comes just up and around or up and down. It doesn't swing over. See, if I were to have a swing away, I would have to have this much space to be able to clear and behind it so that it doesn't hit the wall. All right. So that's the difference between a swing away and a fancier studio one. Now, why are you asking me, Nikki? You've been in this business for a long time and you're using a fancier studio. Yes, I had a Heat Press Nation one, auto clam drawer. It was, a pricey heat press. But after a few years, it failed. And in a pinch, I needed to get a quick, because it was during COVID, heat press. And well, I now own 3 of them because Fancier Studio owed me nothing. As long as you can do time, temp, and pressure, and you can adjust those things, go with what fits in your budget when it comes to this. The same holds true for your printer. Whatever your budget is, that might dictate which printer you get. Same holds true for your presses. You don't want to go something that's so ridiculously cheap, and you want to be able to go in and manually change the time, temp, and pressure. Let's talk about that Cricut press. Remember the Cricut press that's the square? It's great for HTV. Absolutely great for HTV. But the problem is you have to use your pressure. There are some days where I am just exhausted and I'm just going to stand there like this holding it. Okay, great, fantastic. But the problem is there are some substrates that need very firm pressure. Squish the heck out of me pressure. And I don't always feel like I've eaten enough Cheerios for the day in order to push that pressure in. So you really want something that you can lock and load and let it do its thing without you depending on your power, because it's going to vary from day to day, from substrate to substrate. It doesn't matter what it is, it's going to vary. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Your Cricut ones, while they'll say they're great for sublimation, it's limited in the sublimation that you can use it on. And it's really just a vinyl type of heat press. Don't come at me in the comment section. Remember, these are just my opinions. All right, here's some thoughts from my beginners when it comes to starting out on your presses, right? When you're starting out, you don't have to invest in that high-end press right away. No, that could be a goal at the end of the day. You want something that's budget friendly, that has the time, temp, and pressure adjustment, will be sufficient while you're learning. Again, you're just starting out in this business. If there's a place where you can cut a cost a little bit, because guess what? Substrates aren't cheap. So if you want to cut a cost a little bit, you can get a Fancier Studio. You can get it on Amazon, and you can find the links all for my Amazon affiliate store. Jody will post that for you in a little bit. Let's talk about fabrics. Fabrics are important when it comes to sublimation. Ideally, you want 100% polyester. All right. I'm going to show you a couple fabric choices. We're going to talk about the different types of print. So this is one of the towels from Driven by Graphics. As you can see, this is a full bleed 11 by 18 towel. It is stunning. It is rich in color because the top of this is 100% polyester. The back is 100% terry cotton. Okay, so this is one of those mixed blends, but the top is what matters. So we can't sub on the back of this because it's cotton. All right, but you can do a full bleed on the front. Absolutely stunning in the press. These are what I call my fancy towels. They're the only towels we'll ever use on the planet because the color is stunning. Now, when you're talking about marketing these, you definitely want to make sure that you let people know that these are a thicker kitchen style towel. These are considered fancy towels, right? They're not your typical tea towel. They're not your typical kitchen towel that are lightweight. What you tell them is they have this beautiful, luxurious front that subs or prints very well. The word subs or sublimation kind of confuses our clients. Prints beautifully full color. The back is what does all the work, right? So you can still have absolutely, beautiful color, but it's still work. It's still going to be fully absorbent. If you were to use a fully microfiber towel, you know what microfiber towels feel like. They can kind of feel like sticky. I don't know how to describe that any better, but they have like this sticky feel and they don't ever absorb the water, where these guys do because of the terry cloth. Okay. Let's talk about the different poly contents. Now, I will show you some shirts. I can't wear these shirts anymore because they're rather big on me. Let me move this out of the way. So I have different types of shirts that are different blends, and you will be able to see the different colors and how they pop. This is a next level. This guy is I believe he's a 50-50. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is Lucky Bird. This one, so this is a Lucky Bird. This is a 65-35. All right. So it has a lower poly content. But over time, because of the content and the gray, my pink is starting to fade a little bit. That's going to happen. Anything that is on 100% polyester is going to fade. Why is that? Because your ink is only absorbing on the polyester fibers. It's sitting on the cotton ones, waiting to be washed away. All right. So the polyester is what grabs all of that ink and adheres to it. It's a man-made fiber. Cotton is a natural fiber. So having it be a natural fiber, it doesn't like color. You need a special ink for that. Hence tie-dyed material. Why we like to call it dyed sublimation, I don't want you to confuse it. You want to use it on polyester, even though it's similar to like tie-dyeing fabric, it doesn't adhere. The type of sublimation ink we use does not adhere to anything really more than polyester, all right, or synthetic type fabrics. Won't adhere to cotton. It will wash out and it will give this more faded vintage look. Now, it might be hard to see on camera, but this black is definitely different than this black. Okay, you could see the black in this one. This one has a higher poly content and a different poly content makeup. So with this, they're the same age. These shirts are the same identical age. I wear them both all the time, and you can definitely see the difference in the color, even in the black. Now, there are some treatments that you can do to your fabrics to really bring out that color. I don't recommend doing those treatments to your fabrics. There's dye press spray. The only reason is because I don't know the reaction people are going to have to adding that dye press spray to your fabrics. That's something you would need to test out. Plus, you cannot wash your fabrics and have them be considered new. Once you add fabric softener or laundry detergent to something, it's now considered used. So if you're just rinsing it out with water, it's still considered new. But if you add laundry detergent in the industry, it's now considered a used product. Okay, so you can't market it as new. So these are the two different ones for the lower poly content. Now, this one's a 95.5. This one is from this one's from EG Pro. This is from Lucky Bird, and this is a Gildan. Believe it or not, this is a Gildan. Which one is this? This is a Gildan Soft Style one. Okay, so this is a Gildan Soft Style. This is an EG Pro, and this one is a Lucky Bird. Now, the EG Pro, again, washed a billion trillion years. That color is not fading. Why? Because it's got 95% of the fibers are polyester. The very little bit of cotton fibers that could possibly be in this, it's not going to make the difference. You're not going to end up with that faded look like you are with these guys. Okay. So make sure you have higher poly content. Can you sub on something that's 50-50? 100%, yes, you can. But again, the 50-50, only 50% of those fibers are getting the color, and that will stay. Now, here are some instances that you might want to use those 50-50 blends. One-off shirts, meaning, let's talk about that 5th grade class picnic. You don't want little girls going around and they want white shirts. White polyester shirts, Gildan white polyester or Jersey white polyester shirts are very much see-through. So for a little girl, and even some ladies, they don't want that see-through shirt. While they like the lightweight, the see-through of a white shirt is just not their cup of tea. So we tend to go with a higher content of cotton, balance it out with a blend, right? So you've got a lower poly, higher cotton, and that makes the shirt a little bit thicker, but it then makes your print go a little bit dull, more vintage, if you will. So the 50-50 blend is great for those walks, great for those class picnics. You can use the 50-50 blend because when the color is printed on day one, it's going to look amazing. It's after it's been washed a few times, the color is going to come off of those cotton fibers. Okay. So keep those all in mind. Can you print on performance fabrics? Yes, but you want to get a test. Get one to test just to make sure that, yes, it does take your color real well because they're usually a polyester fabric. But sometimes when you want to do multiple pressings, it can really throw color off. And sometimes, too, a lot of the performance fabrics We're already dye sublimated. So now you're going to add sublimation to something that's already been sublimated, and you can end up with that dreaded box that won't go away because you're off-gassing some of the ink. So test your fabrics first. Always buy one to test. You should really test out one of everything. So one piece of MDF, metal, ceramic, glass, all of your fabrics. Did you know that you can print and press on felt? Your craft felt. That's a great way to also test out prints, is on cheap craft felt. Could be crap felt for two, for all I know. But you really want the cheap one just because you're just testing it out. It's a great way to test out colors as well. So you could go get the white, the baby pink, the baby blue, the lavender felt, and then print the same image on all of those. I will be doing a mini Sass on color and pressing it on different fabrics so that you can see all the different color variations and how the same color changes how it's presented on all of it. I will make sure that I take pictures of those so that you too can use those in your business. All right, let's see. You also, when you're doing fabrics, want to pre-press your fabrics. It is important. One, it can shrink down your fabrics because fabrics, well, are a fibered product. They will shrink down. So you can shrink down your fabrics, but it's always nice to get the wrinkles out and have it nice and flat because there's nothing worse than having a wrinkle in your fabric. And well, yes, then now you're going to end up with a fold over and you've made a mess. I will make a suggestion is I do not pre-press my neoprene. Now, my neoprene is like the lunch totes. Do I have it right here? The lunch totes, your car coasters, your lip balm holders. Here's the reason. Neoprene swells. So it can throw your print off. So I don't pre-press anything that is made from neoprene because it does swell when the heat is applied. And then it can change off the size of your print product, all of that. So I literally go right out of the gate. But I do lint roll all of my neoprene because it is a fabric top on that neoprene. I do lint roll all of that. Let's see. Let's talk about the different blanks. So we talked about the fabrics, right? You saw me talk about towels. Let me talk about some of the other things that you can press on. Now, this is just a sprinkling, if you will. There are so many products on the market, and some I'm going to keep spewing out that I might not have right here, but I want you to know that you can do drinkware. So this one is also from Driven by Graphics. This is a child's tumbler. You can do coffee mugs, whether they're the regular coffee mugs or this one, which is like a glitter style. We will, again, press this in our color mini Sass so you can see how the color changes because it is a gray silver look, but it still has some gorgeous color on it because it is made for sublimation. Other types of drinkware we have right here. Let me move these guys out of the way. Look at the color. Gorgeous, right? So when pressing, you have to watch out for the handles on things as well. You can't go right to the handle. If you do, I can't say can't because we found out you can. You can put all of this here, put it in your mug press, but then you could also hit it with a heat gun so that the heat gun gets in here. I will tell you the heat gun underneath the handle takes some ingenuity. That's more on the advanced level. That's not something I would have my beginner sublimation people even attempt. Right now, what I would have you attempt is making sure that we could get you a full bleed top to bottom and that we put this as close as we can by using your tumbler press, or if you want to use the convection oven, by all means. Again, trying to use your convection oven and get this underneath here can be very tricky, and that's more on your advanced level. Okay, so those are some things. You can print on things that aren't white, like this one. This is the silver stainless steel. Again, we'll put this in our color live that we'll do and the different things and how it changes color. The other types of fabric you can press on. This is bullet fabric. So I talked about felt, talked about polyester fabrics, but you can also press on, where's my other one? You can press on bullet fabric. You could also Press on satin ribbon or grosgrain ribbon because again, as long as it reads that it's 100% polyester, you can press on it. So you can make hair bows. I'm just going to turn this off. Oh, we'll show that in a second. Other drinkware. This one I did with the heat gun method. Again, that's more on the advanced level. I will show you guys that in a later Sass. We have license plates. These are your metals. Okay. Here's some of your neoprene. So this is a neoprene item. Make sure we got, here we go. So we have neoprene. We have the faux leather. This has the glitter on the back. We have MDF. We have acrylic. Again, this is metal. This is FRP. It's a manufactured type plastic. You can sublimate on your polyester fabric twill and threads for embroidery. Glass cutting plate, cutting board, I should say, plate, because it's round. Of course, your towels. See how that towel started out completely white and you got to see where I did it a completely full bleed color. While yes, you can do the full bleed on a 15 by 25 as long as you have the paper and the press. Otherwise, you're going to be doing multiple pressings and paper piecing. Again, that's a Sass for another rainy day. I will talk to you about in that Sass the board method. This guy right here, why the board method can be used for things like baby blankets and so much more, and why it's important to have a board of this size or even larger because it helps give you a bigger platen area. Again, that's for advanced sublimation. Other things you can sub on, wood. This is wood. You can sub all on top of this. It is a specially coated wood for sublimation. This comes from Blanktastic. So this is something that you can definitely sub on is the sublimation wood, again, completely coated. Other things like this, you can make collections. This is all MDF, right? And you see how these colors just pop? Again, these are just some of the things that I have used. Everything from different types of jewelry with metal inserts to everything that we could possibly make with MDF and some metal items. There are a lot of things. Before I forget, things like slates. Comes with the feet. So you can press on slates, you can press on glass, you can press on, here's a glass. Okay, so this was coated for the back. You press on it, and there you go. Now you end up with a absolutely gorgeous stand. So I have that. Again, this right here is slate. This does take a little bit of ingenuity because there's a lot of steps that you really want to make sure that you cover with this. And there's some tips and tricks. Again, this will be for Sass for another rainy day. So there you go. While we have a lot of things in sublimation, we can definitely print on. Again, I'll go over it. Apparel, just make sure it has 100% polyester. Anything less than 100% is going to give you a vintage vibe. The less polyester, the more vintage vibe. You have your ceramics. So ceramics could be mugs, coasters, ornaments, just to name a few. Your metal blanks are aluminum panels. They do have some stainless steel ones from JPP. The aluminum ones, you can get also aluminum cut shapes, like you have these aluminum shapes, right? So you can get the ornaments and stuff from some of my listed vendors. Absolutely, you can head there. And those, you could have keychains, license plates, photo panels, and so much more. You have glass, like your photo frames, your ornaments, your glass cutting boards. Again, just to name a few of the items. Your polyester bags, like tote bags and drawstring bags, wine totes, bunny bags, so much more. Linen, you know, the sublimation linen, you can also get that as well. Again, there are so many things that we can press on. It's just unbelievable, like blankets, pillowcases, phone cases, mouse pads, puzzles. See, the list just keeps going on and on and on. We have managed to have a lot of things that we can press on. but as long as they are coated for sublimation, we will get the best possible print. Now, I will say you can print on those sequin pillows that you can get from Five Below. You absolutely can. And for those that have been in this a little bit longer, I should say, you remember the whole sequin craze? Well, for those that are new, you can go to Five Below, get a sequin pillow, and yes, you can sub on the sequins. Please just know that it's from Five Below. Please also know that you're going to have to figure that out. It's one of those things that, while yes, you can, please make sure that you use protective paper. Don't just go in and put your print on top of it because it could melt. Not all sequins is created equal either. While yes, you can print on all of it, it seems they're cheaping out on some of those types of things. So just be careful, do your due diligence. There's a lot we can do in sublimation. It really just runs the possibilities of everything that you can make. This is just an overview of everything that you would need to get to starting in your sublimation. This is definitely a part series where it's going to take a little bit more, like using sublimation pens and pencils, or not pencils, but using sublimation pens. Well, yes, they have ones that are created with inks from Artistry. You don't necessarily want to use pens in sublimation unless it's formulated for sublimation. Why I said I wanted to come back to this pencil thing, when you're marking the back of a design, you want to mark the back of your design with an arrow to let you know that this is the top and that this is number one, number two, especially in baby blankets. Again, you'll hear more about that at a later date, but the pencil doesn't seep through where pen can seep through your paper to your product. And well, we don't want that. Sublimation pens, like from Artistry, are meant to be used in projects, like when you're using their stuff for kiddos. Again, we'll talk about that in a later Sass. Lots of fun things you can do, so much more. I hope that you guys learned something. I hope that you realize maybe there's some tools that you need. This is just the beginning in your sublimation journey. Until next time, you guys, you know what? I'll see you all later on the flip side. Have a good afternoon, everyone.